Who says you can't do a podcast by yourself? He they call him the Javelin when he was racing, and that guy, and not just Randy, but all those guys from back east, when those trees get tight and narrow, like, it is ridiculous how they can slither, is what I would like to call it, through the trees. And there's no need to look down on my bike. Bikes need naps too, and look how soft that fluffy dirt is. It says, I'm taking my bike to Baja for the first time. Well, hey, John, before I get any farther into this, you know it's going to get the runs, right? The first time in Mexico, always little bit, okay. Your spoiled little brat kid needs to write his own Roost or Endo description of his own super awesome bike, because that's how you get super awesome bikes, is you write about them. Or at least that worked for me. Okay, maybe we started, maybe we didn't. We'll see. Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, episode number 121. My name is Jimmy Lewis. I'm the host of this show where we talk about motorcycle and motorcycle-related products, and myself. We talk about myself because if I didn't do it, nobody else would. So there we go. Hopefully the sound is working and coming through. Hopefully our cameras are working, because I pushed some buttons and some other things didn't seem like they were working on this side either, but we'll check the chat to give me an update on that. Sounds like we're live from Toronto. Said, yeah, we want to help you out. And interestingly enough, I answered a gearing question for a guy. I copied Nate on the email, and he totally stoked that guy out. So that was really good. Every once in a while, we can help you out with some of our sponsors, our partners in this episode. Of course, we have Trail Tech, Fast Company, Bulletproof Designs, Double Take Mirrors. You can also support us if wherever you're watching this stuff. You can kind of find some links in the descriptions where you can click through, and we might get a little chunk of that. And we have more dates and news for our schools. So www.jimmylewisoffroad.com. If you don't know, I teach off-road motorcycle riding. I can make you a better rider, pretty much guaranteed, because you have no idea what you're doing wrong, and I know exactly what you're doing wrong, even without talking to you or doing anything, because everybody has the same problems, and it's just how much do you want to A, accept your problems, and B, work on your riding problems. So that's it. That's all I have to promote. Fast Company sent me some new handlebars. I'm trying to, so I have a couple of 300s out here. We are trying to, we've ridden them a bunch. We know exactly how they work stock, and now we're trying to address some of the issues. So on the beta, one of our issues is kind of a stiff feeling front part of the frame, because the forks aren't actually stiff, and they've broken and become really nice. Too soft for some people, but they're just fine for me. And so we got some Fast Company Flex handlebars, and then to address the vibration, we actually have the Fast Company Impact foot pegs, which have a little dampening in there to take some of the vibes out. So when I get around to getting that stuff put onto that bike, I will tell you how it works. I'd like to say hi to everybody in the chat. We got a few people out there. A lot of people, actually. Wow. Jimmy Campbell, hi. David Bailey. It's funny. Today, I heard from a guy named, his name was Bob Laughlin, but it came up as Robert Laughlin, and that reminded me of a guy that I grew up, and he was just a little bit older than me, and he was one of those guys. He had like Ron Lachine-like talent on a motorcycle, crazy. Never really had really great equipment, but he'd go out to Indian Dunes or even around our practice tracks, and he'd smoke like the factory riders that would come out and practice in these areas. This is the days of, Johnny O'Mara and Donnie Hansen and stuff like that. So David Bailey's in our chat. Yeah. George, we don't know who George is, but he's here. Tony, Bill, good to see everybody. And of course, Gronk is in there. Gronk representing the entire country of Canada. And I'll try to not say bad things about you guys that much. So on this show, we have you ask questions and we provide answers. And when I say we, that means me tonight, because I do not have a co-host running this thing solo at the moment. We take the questions if you comment on one of our YouTube videos or send us emails. However you decide to communicate with us, we collect those, put them in, and I answer them now. So I don't have to do it every single day. All day long, and especially like the YouTube comments, they just kind of go over. So we kind of fish through the appropriate ones and get there. So if you are you in the chat and you have something, here's an offer. You know that pesky friend that always has all those motorcycle questions? George knows this because he sends them to me. Like, he gives them my number. That's how good George is with this. Why don't you share this link, however you're watching this, share it with your friend that has that question, and I will answer it, and I will put you at ease, because they're going to get a pretty decent answer, one that they can trust. I'm not trying to sell anything here, except for my sponsors' products, by the way. I will always tell you, no matter what, that one of my sponsors' product is absolutely the best, because there's really nothing else. Like, see, this double take mirror, for instance. This is a double take mirror. They're one of our longtime supporters and sponsors. It's awesome because they bolt onto ram balls. They're super adjustable. So if you're looking for a mirror for your dual sport or adventure bike, they actually have a nice shaped one for the adventure bike. This is the best thing for you, and I use it to when I do little shaving, and tune up. I use it for that too. But so there we go. See how we do that? If you want to sponsor this show, let me know. I am going to, we're going to actually, I tell you, get a little news while we get the questions. Those bad things are all true, says Gronk. What, me shaving with a dirt bike mirror? So what we are going to do tonight's show is we'll take care of a little business, but send out that link to your ding-dong friends. Come on. You hate answering their questions. I got to straighten out this bulletproof shirt here, by the way. Bulletproof Design is another one of our sponsors. They make T-shirts as well. If you order enough stuff, they will throw one in the box. Did you know that? So I'm probably going to take a break from doing Tech Talk Taco Tuesday for a little while, because this show is operating like a super clapped out, air-cooled two-stroke. I mean, you can hear the rings. You can hear the piston slapping in the barrel. You can hear the rings hooking on the ports. The cylinder fins are vibrating. It's a little rough around here, mostly just largely on my part, because there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done. And I took on another new job. So I'm busy with making the Nora-Mexican 1000 the most awesome motorcycle race/ride that it could ever be. And I'm going to do a really good job at that, and this show will suffer because of it. So you go where the money is. So anyways, call 1-555-BUG-JIMMY. Well, no, don't call that. Did you knowing George, you probably already forwarded that to my phone, and I'm going to start getting those messages. But on tonight's show, we also have Scott Hoffman coming on. He rode the new Yamaha YZ450FX. I think he was a big pussy and didn't ride the YZ125X. That's what I would have been riding if I were there, even at my enormously large weight and scale. I would be sending that thing. And I don't know if Takamoto is still hiring. I still have that on my notes from last week, but Takamoto was hiring last week. If you missed out and you wanted a job in the motorcycle industry and you're in Las Vegas, that may have been a good thing. Actually, he probably has some set up where you could probably work remote. Who knows? Takamoto is hiring. So that's the stuff. I've got a few Rooster Endos. So if you are familiar with Rooster Endo, that is the segment of the show where you send us a picture of your bike. You tell us the year, make, and model. It's best to email it to me. That way I can not lose it like I do on all the stuff in social media, because I really hate reaching into the toilet and pulling stuff back out. And if you put it in the toilet, meaning your Rooster Endo, and I have to go reach in there and get it, I'm not motivated. But if you send it to me in email, and if you can't figure out my email address, then you're not qualified to win Rooster Endo. There it is. Even in the pause on the show, I will store the ones that I get. So if you're listening to this in the future, then you can still send us a Rooster Endo, and we fired it back up, because one of the things we are planning is the Mega Rooster Endo Show, brought to you by Takomoto. That's takomoto.co. They have all the stuff you need for your bike. We're going to do it at Takomoto. We're going to do a live one, and all the shows are actually live. They're recorded live. We'll do a live show there, and we will have some people bring Rooster Endos, and we will have all the ones that you send in, and we'll have a Mega Rooster Endo, because I actually stored up some Rooster Endo bucks. So there's going to be a pretty good prize for the winner of that particular evening, I'm sure. So that's what we got going on. It sounds like an old 82 YZ465, says Dave Donnelly. This show, 82 YZ465. I would actually like to bring it up to 490. I would like to maybe go to like 85 YZ490 that just detonates really good too, as well as being clapped out. And then if you know anything about those bikes, actually maybe even WR500, and we're talking Yamaha WR500 here, maybe even one of those, because they were sort of notorious for the gas tanks even cracking and aging and leaking. So maybe that's how bad this show really is. It does need a tune-up. So thanks, everybody, for joining in. I really appreciate it. I am going to go straight. Your buddy should be tuning in. And just tell him to throw the question up in the chat. That's the way to do this. Throw the question up in the chat, and I will get to it. I'll interrupt myself and get that up there. So I'm currently, right now, I'm going to the YouTube questions. And so these are the questions when you comment on our videos. These are the ones that we popped up. A couple of them we're going to have Scott Hoffman come on here in a few minutes, and he will answer them, because there is WR and FX questions, but I can answer the WR questions, at least the old WR, and then he can answer the FX since he wrote it and I didn't. So we will go from there. The first question is for Scott. So the second question is for Scott. It's about a flame out installing on the bike. The other one, the guy wanted to know where the headlight and the taillight were. Okay, here we go. 116 Tem says, is the Transalp seat going to be high enough for someone who is 187 centimeters tall? Okay, he just went beyond my math skills at 187. So if somebody wants to pull out their Google calculator, see, I usually have a co-host and I usually drink a lot. And so if I was drinking or I had to do the calculations, my co-host would either do the calculations or I would do the calculations and figure out what 187 centimeters tall is, because I think I was somewhere around 90 centimeters if I recall correctly. But anyhow, he's tall. I'm planning to do some road touring, possibly with a pillion passenger. It's like my buddy Marco, who suggested that he should ride behind his wife, and that way the buffeting wouldn't bother him. But the Transalp 750 has really good wind protection. Anyways, I haven't tried the bike and was considering both the Transalp and the Tenere. Well, you're calling a show that is sponsored by Yamaha, and you just threw Tenere out there, which is by far and away the best middleweight adventure bike known to man. Anyways, however, the seat height seems to be more comfortable on the Transalp, and I don't plan to do much off-road. Well, 116 Tem, you are contacting the wrong media outlet to answer your question, because as you well know, we are Dirt Bike Test, and we test things with a very off-road bias. So you need to go to streetrider.com or something like that and ask them this question. I feel unqualified. And 6'2", the Canadians come through with the centimeters. And so really, In all honesty, if you are more street focused, I think that the Honda may actually be a better bike. But the seat height on the Honda is actually, for me, problematic because it is so low. And I'm not 5'2", I'm 5'9" and maybe 3/4. I don't know, you've heard me talk about that. And I find the seat height it's just a little bit too low because it folds my legs up a little bit too much. And I even have the off-road, their accessory off-road foot pegs on it, which are a little bit lower than the rubber coated stock ones. So when I sit down for a long time on a street bike, when my legs are kind of that folded up, it's not that comfortable. I actually run a taller seat on almost all of my bikes, including the Tenere, including my KTM adventure bikes. Even my KTM 950, the old one, these are tall bikes for a guy that's 5'10". And I run tall seats because I want to be comfortable when I'm riding them, especially when you're on the street, because that's when you're really sitting down. Most of the other time, and the reason why the Honda doesn't bother me that much is we ride it off-road a lot and I'm standing up, and so I don't know where the seat height is. Doesn't matter at that point. So it is comfortable. But yeah, check the road pubs for that information. Mitch, check your text from me. I don't know that I got a text from you. So, is it a question, Mitch? Is it super top secret? I didn't get a text from you. So I just checked. Trying to do a lot of things here. And Travis Mahoney, off topic. There's nothing off topic on this show, Travis. You should know this. Or maybe you don't listen enough to know this, but this is a revolving door podcast. I keep moving. I think somehow I don't know what's going on here. I'll try to get back in the frame. Actually, screw that camera. I need a technician. Off topic, best training spot in Pahrump. I like sand camp recently, not long distance, just putting laps in. I never talk about where I ride, Travis. This is something that you will learn. And part of the adventure of riding is finding cool spots for yourself. And so for a long time, I've never really we'll call it revealed locations, because just what I said. And if I told you the best spot in Pahrump, then everybody would go to the best spot in Pahrump, and then it wouldn't be the best spot any longer. Now, if you went out and searched for the best spot in Pahrump and you found it, and then you realized why it's a little secluded and it is the best spot, it may not even be in Pahrump, by the way, you probably would go, do I really want to invite a lot of people out here? Because if I invite you, and then you invite your friend, and then they invite their friend, and then there's one donkey that has 20 friends because he wants to be the cool guy, even though he can't find the spot on his own, but he's going to post it on Twittergrams with a GPS location and share it on the Strava's OnlyFans site or whatever he's got. And then everybody goes there, and now it's effed. So, Travis, that's my rant on why you don't talk about where you ride. I mean, there's places where everybody goes. There's already overrun places, and that's fine. But I bet you if you find the guy that found that place, he might not think that that's the thing. But anyways, yeah. Hopefully that answered the question. Tom Gray has a question. It says, "G'day," which means he's from Zimbabwe. I know this. Just wondering if you guys break in 125 two-strokes after top-end rebuild, and if so, what is your method? Thanks. Well, Tom, if it was a brand new bike, a brand new off-the-showroom floor bike, I would, let's say, take it easy on it. I would run it through a few heat cycles, just starting it and running it, and maybe starting it, riding around slow, let it cool down, start it, run around slow. So just a couple heat cycles. And then probably for the first tank of gas, I would not what I would call just send it. I would really be careful about over revving it. I would be careful about, putting big, heavy loads for long periods of time on it. But I'm not going to ride it around like lugging it and trying to not let the power valve open or, do anything crazy like that. That's when it's brand new. When I throw a top end in it, I pretty much do a heat cycle on it. I ride it easy for maybe 10 minutes, and then I ride it as hard as I ever ride it. And that's kind of the same with almost any bike in general. It's like, and here's kind of what I'm trying to accomplish is when it's brand new, you know, the heat cycles just, you're trying to let stuff seat in a little bit, and you are maybe trying to take the sharp edges off. That's the beginning. Once those edges, like I say, the sharp edges and stuff kind of wear down, or everything kind of seats in, have at it. You know, I think they I know that if you're looking for the 99th percentile of performance out of something, there are break-in procedures that are utilized, and some of them are very proven in how to get the most power. And my understanding is on some stuff is there's no break-in at all. There's a ramp up. I would call it. They run things pretty hard right from the get-go because everything is, you know, the tolerances are just perfect, and they know how it's exactly going to work. They're very critical about how they warm things up, you know, because that's part of the thing. And then they want it to seat in. And I know that there's a performance difference in how that's done, but I don't think any of us are in that world. So, yeah. So Tom, I hope that that's what I do, and I've been doing that since when did I have my first? When did I have to put a top end in a KX80 that I seized when I was a little kid? I've been doing that since 1982, and I haven't really had any problems. So Matt Reeves says my 950 needs nothing; it actually needs a rider at this point. Okay, don't know where that comment came from. Carl Physics, yep, then your favorite spot is all blown out. And guess what half the people bring out there? He's got it. UTVs. I have a UTV. I don't take it to my favorite spot. T Flannel, you are so right about sharing good spots. Thank you. I wish more people would you know, kind of take that to heart about riding spots and riding areas. And in reality, I even take it a step further. Like, I ride some really awesome places, and if I'm taking new people there, sometimes we're going for a work day that nobody was informed about. I tell you the story. Like, Crazy Nate, who's been my buddy, great buddy Crazy Nate, has been on the podcast. He did it a little bit different. His tact was different when he suckered me into trail maintenance. But he would tell me, there's no way you can ride from here to here. And then I'm like, oh yeah? Okay. And we get there, and sure enough, it was something that was nearly impossible. But then if I made it, he'd go, oh, Jimmy, I can't make it. You know, maybe you could come here and help me, and we could, if we cut this tree and we move these rocks, and next thing you know, there's a bitchin' trail. So I have in the past gone out and had buddies, and Nate's one of my teammates on this. Nate will actually go up there with his little car, and he'll bring like the rock bar and the chainsaw and a couple shovels, some gas for the hedge trimmer, and park like kind of near where the trail is. And we ride in there, and lo and behold, there's some old man usually crawling around with the clippers, clipping branches or whatever. And it's like, oh, Nate, wow, you're out here. And he goes, oh yeah, I'm out here working on these trails, trying to, I need a little bit of help. And like, you know, then your buddies are like, oh, you know, come on guys, let's stop and help them. So, yep, that's how it works. Have somebody come and work with you on trails, or even if it's like around Pahrump, there's so much trash out in our desert. Have them pick up trash with you for a half an hour, 45 minutes, and then take them riding and see what happens after that. Then you're going to find out whether you got a good guy or not. Just my take on it. Jim Jarber says, the so is fine, always picking up something from each episode. Well, thanks, Jim. Hey, did anybody get their shirts? I put a little note in the shirts, and I said to send me pictures of you wearing the shirts in awesome places, because I definitely want to do something with that. And Gene Woods says, nice shirt. And he would, because this is Gene Woods on this shirt. And one of the coolest pictures that I have. I mean, like, oh God, you gotta move the camera again. I'm gonna see if I can fix this. I mean, I'll use the double take mirror, again, a sponsor product, to move the camera so that you can see me. Hold on. And then I got to call Scott Hoffman. Get the freaking camera. There we go. Much better. Wait, little adjustment here. Double take mirrors, everybody. What a pro. Who says you can't do a podcast by yourself? John Buck says, I'm taking my bike to Baja for the first time. Well, hey, John, before I get any farther into this, you know it's going to get the runs, right? The first time in Mexico, always okay. Tips and info about what else I might want to bring for Mexico. Toilet paper. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's the water. I just think everything's a little bit different down there. And your first time down there, you're going to get that. Tips and info about what else I might bring for Mexico. If you've ever traveled any place if you're going to go someplace a long ways to go riding, you take exactly the same stuff. Just because it's Mexico doesn't mean it's any different. If your bike is largely stock or not really modified, you don't have to do anything crazy with modification. If you haven't done any crazy modifications, you don't have to worry about the gas. The 91, which you can get most places, is good. If you're concerned about it, maybe bring a little octane booster. I never do. I take basically stock KTM 500s down there. And so I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff. It's the usual things you would take. So set of tubes. I always take an extra air filter. I take a couple little chemicals. I have some smaller, those mini cans of chain lube and different things. Penetrant oil, a little bit of contact cleaner, just stuff to fix things. It all fits into one of those really small milk crates. And that's what I take. I on my bike, I actually have my tools that I carry on my back or on my bike. And it's the same set of stuff that I take when I do long rides around here. So just because it's Mexico, there's really not anything different that you need to do. Although you do have to be aware of, you don't want to bring gas across the border. Your bike can be full, but don't bring any gas in gas cans. You have to have paperwork for your bike when you go into Mexico. And then depending on where you're going to ride it and stuff, insurance is also a good idea. So yeah, I don't think anything else is necessary. Mexico, the dirt in Mexico is just like the dirt in the United States. Just some of the people are way nicer. And some of the people really like dirt bikes, which is strange up here. RP asks, how many brake parts and clutch levers have you broken in a crash or drop over the years? The forms seem to indicate that aluminum wraparound handguards are a must. Accurate. Pros and cons of them. Okay, RP. It's funny. I just got asked this. Somebody today was asking about setting their bike up for the NORA rally, and he asked, what about wraparound handguards? And the bike that I've taken down to Mexico last 2 or 3 times does not have them, but most of my bikes actually do, mostly to protect the levers and or the master cylinders. So I have to be kind of careful about that, and I'm going to dial up Scott here right now and get him on the call. Let's see if this hopefully doesn't make too much noise. Here we go. And yeah, need a producer, I think. But over the years, I mean, it's been so infrequent lately that I've broken levers lately, but I haven't been crashing that much. So I think it goes hand in hand. If you don't crash, you don't break levers. Actually, it's ever been since I've been really focusing on teaching the school, which means I practice a lot of riding technique and I don't tip over as much. So now Scott's not answering the phone, which is awesome. I told him 7:20. He probably thought I was late. Now he's going to ghost me. RP says, let's see. Okay. Pros and cons. So the story is that your hands are going to slip through the hand guards, and it's going to get stuck between that, the bar, and it's going to twist and break your wrist. And we talked about this a few shows ago. Never seen it happen. I'm sure it has. Just try not to do that. But I think when you start paying for levers, actually you can get some inexpensive levers that are actually pretty good. But if you start breaking master cylinders, that's expensive. You're going to be wishing you had wraparound handguards. And then, but a lot of times it's just the regular call failed, call back. So I'll try this again. So try that. Ashley, he said he got his shirt. It's just 2,000 miles away from him. That's interesting. I didn't send it that far away. Call failed again. The calls are awesome right now. Our cell service around here, I think whatever happened the other day happened everywhere. My thing doesn't work. John Buck says diapers. Bring diapers.
Phone, but leave a message.
Okay.
I'll try to get back to you.
Yeah, he can't answer his phone. Bike Mojo, looking to put a fan on a 23 KTM 350 XAF. Go with Trail Tech, by the way. Do I need to worry about stator output? What if I add lights? So I think the XCF has enough power to run a fan, and then it depends on the light. Once you start adding the light, you might be compromising the ability to do it. Real easy way to tell. Put the fan on the bike first. Get it hot, get it running, check to see what your battery's charging at. Because most of the fans, the KTM has a plug, and then Trail Tech has a really nice kit that'll plug right into that. And then when it's running, you can see if you're still charging your battery. And if it goes into discharge, well, then it's not. I don't know the exact output and all those other things, but those bikes do come with fans. Some of them, they have the ability to come with fans, so I'm pretty sure KTM has taken that into consideration. If you add a big light, it's going to run it low. But, I mean, are you going to be running your fan and your light at the same time? What are we doing? Extreme enduros at night here? Not really sure. People got stickers. They got stickers with their T-shirts. Let's see. Tony says, mine rock. Would have to wait for the snow to melt. Okay, here we go. Scott Hoffman.
Yes.
You're live on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday.
Awesome.
Okay. So you're definitely not the most technical savvy person. Was the phone hard to answer?
I believe it was, yes.
Okay, good. Welcome to the show. Scott Hoffman is, we'd like to call him our fifth wheel at Dirt Bike Test. He fills in the gaps when Trevor can't do all the work, is what I like to say. Scott, welcome to the show. We have some questions for you that I can't answer because I didn't run I didn't go to the intro. So, and Bike Mojo says he's going with Trail Tech. That's good. That's the way to start. Thanks to our sponsors. Okay, here we go. We're straight in. Tell everybody what you did. What'd you go ride? Where'd you go?
I went to South Carolina to Randy Hawkins' property there, and they have a race team and pro, and Yamaha had us out there for the 2024 YZ450 FX intro.
There was YZ.
We rode the bike.
There was YZ125X there. What happened?
I rode that too. 125X. And
oh, good. Yeah, that's important. The 125 is an important motorcycle. So, oh, you're cutting out. Is it my phone or is it your phone? We don't know. I'm checking to see how many bars I have here. It worked before. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so put your tinfoil hat on, and we'll get to these questions. So here is question. Okay. Here's question number one. It said, wait a minute, I got to adjust my screen here. It said, well, hold on, I got to use these buttons. This thing's not working. Here we go. Otis Flint says, issues with flame out stalling and the tight stuff. I ride a large variety of trains, so this is my main concern with a 450. Okay.
Okay. Do you have me hooked up?
Yeah, you're hooked up. Yeah, flame out.
There was a slight concern of that, but the first gear is pretty low, and when we added a little bit of fuel to one of the maps, it really didn't have that trouble that bad.
So stock, it was like an issue?
I would say it was a little herky jerky down low. even in first gear. But again, once we added a little bit of fuel and ran it on like the mellow map, which is the light on the bike.
Right.
It really wasn't a concern at that point.
Yeah. So does the I have a question. How does the bike start?
Start?
Yeah,
Starts
start.
easy.
Like cold, hot. Like if you stall, if you come in and turn, stall it. Like why he says.
Yeah, it pretty much fires right back up.
Oh, really? Okay.
When the bike is cold per se, you fired it up and it makes kind of a funky little whining noise until it warms up. And Yamaha guys told me that's normal.
Interesting. Yeah, because that's if there's one thing I can complain about kind of globally about all fuel injected Yamahas is the starting has never been the restart. So after you stall it and stuff has never been really good. And we played around with maps to try to affect that. And it doesn't seem like it really does things. So I mean they're trying to make.
I didn't really get the bike like super hot. So because it was pretty wet there and pretty slimy everywhere, so it wasn't like there was the bike was overtaxed and there wasn't a lot of hills. So I never really steamed it up or got it super hot and then stalled it. So I can't say perfect whether or not there is an issue, but from my riding, I never had a restart problem on the trail.
Yeah, and that bike, I mean, I think the motor I don't think they did a whole lot of stuff in the motor to make it lighter. Like lighter crank or anything like that, did they?
No, for the FX, no. It's basically based off the motocross bike. Other than mapping, that was only the big change in performance, and as well as the exhaust muffler has more baffles in it to kind of like calm the power down.
Right.
And gearing and first gear is really low. Second gears
is
lower than. Excuse me.
Is the gearing changed from the previous one, or it's still the same? Correct.
Well, it's based off the YZ450, the current motocross bike. So it's hard to say. It's an all new bike from the previous FX.
So
everything's based off the motocross bike.
Right, but the transmission ratio is the same from FX to FX, like the older one to the new one.
It's pretty close. I don't know exactly verbatim if the ratios are identical, but I know on the new bike, which is the FX for the 23-24 YZF platform, first gear is like adding 6 teeth to the rear sprocket,
right, compared
to the motocross bike. Second gear is lower than the motocross bike by slight. Then pretty much third and fourth is similar, and fifth is higher than the motocross bike.
And do you notice the first to second gap?
It could be a little tighter. I would say first is almost a little bit too low, and it could be a little higher and a little bit better gap between first and second. I would admit that.
Yeah, because I actually, I mean, of all the 5-speed transmissions, as far as a wide ratio 5-speed, I honestly think that Yamaha has the best one, and they've really done a good job. I noticed the first to second. I don't notice an upshifting. I notice it on downshifting. Like a lot of times I'll come into a turn and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to use a lot of clutch, so I'll go ahead and downshift, and I go, whoa, that's a low gear kind of a thing. I'll notice that, and then I don't notice the fourth to fifth. I don't notice any gap at all, really. Where I know some people said, yeah, there's a fourth to fifth gap, but I've never really noticed that, and it goes plenty fast. I mean, where you were riding, you never got it milked at fifth.
I never even got it into fifth. There was pretty much, we were riding tight trees, and it was after it rained, so everything was slick and swampy, and deep ruts through the woods, and they kept changing the course because some of the trails got so swamped out and so rutted out.
Nice. And then AZ Mountain Thumper says, interesting to hear about the transmission changes. So it's the cases are the cases different, like from like the WR, the FX that I have to the new one?
It's a new motor. It's basically the 23-24 motocross platform, and I'm not sure exactly whether or not they completely changed the motor when they went to the new frame in last year for the motocross bike.
Yeah.
But it's basically they started with the motocross bike, the 23 platform,
like they always do.
And that's like they always do, and they pretty much it's a rendition of the motocross bike. I mean, it still feels very motocross-esque out there. I mean, it's almost in the tight stuff when it was really wet. It was a handful. I mean, not crazy handful, but it didn't feel like it felt like more motocross than it did like full plush off-road bike.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of where the FX. I mean, that's the line they're trying to toe is
right.
They want a bike that like a vet guy could take to a motocross track and ride the vet motocross track and then go trail riding on it. And you're never gonna have a trail riding setting that works on a motocross track and vice versa. There's going to be some compromise someplace. I tend to if I'm not going to go to the motocross track, I like the WR platform. And I'm really excited to ride the new WR because I really like the current WR that I have, which is the older chassis, older motor and everything. And if there's one thing that's wrong with that, or in the beginning, is that motor is when you uncork it is pretty spicy. So when I hear you say that and I felt like the YZ 22 to 23, so the new current YZ, I felt like that motor actually got tamed down a little bit, kind of in the on-off throttle and the lower RPM ranges, but it just feels like it has a lot of torque and really. I could see where that could be a handful, but that's where Power Tuner comes in handy.
Yeah, the Power Tuner is. I mean, we ended up putting some traction control on the main map, as well as detuning even the map, just to make the bike more rideable in the tight stuff. I mean, the bike's still fast. I mean, in the standard map from the factory, I mean, it feels like a motocross bike. It's almost too much for like true off-road, unless you're riding a Grand Prix track.
But do you know
go ahead.
Do you know if the map switch when you turn the light on are they the same, or if you turn that light on, it's always going to be a more mellow map?
They claim that they can get pretty close, but no matter what map you put on with light on, it's still going to be a percentage less than the map that's in there. So no matter what, if you put the same map in both A and B or 1 and 2, the light on is always going to be more mellow because it's automatically detuned.
Yeah, so internally there's something in there that's different.
Right. Exactly.
Because I used to, when I was trying to figure that out, I would go in and try to build a map that I could put in map 2, so if I push the button, I couldn't tell there was, so I'd have an aggressive, I'd kind of put an aggressive map in that second map, and then you would push it and you couldn't tell the difference between the two. And so, and I know on the YZ, there's no underlying map changes between light on and light off. So if you have the same map in both of them, they're the same. Where if you put the same map, like the same numbers in 1 and 2, or light on, light off on a WR and FX, the light on is always going to be kind of muted a little bit.
That's correct.
Yeah,
for sure. And we did a little bit of a map change originally on the light on, but when you wanted to go to the little motocross section and turn it off, the gap was huge. I mean, it went from mellow to like full on freaking dragster, and that's why we ended up putting a mellower map on the main map, so I could switch back and forth and it not huge gap between the two performance wise.
Yeah. And I think what it is in what they're actually doing is it's when you change the throttle, it's kind of we call it transients. So like when you change the throttle, that's where a lot of the differences light on to light off, so that essentially the throttle response. But now on the new Power Tuner app, you're actually able to use some of that traction control settings.
Correct. Yeah. We ended up putting the traction control in the main map. We did a little bit, and it made it so the transition between the mellow map that we built in with a little bit more fuel and the main map wasn't such a big gap.
Yeah. That's the amazing thing about these Power Tune, the different these apps that you guys have now. You got a factory bike. You got factory bike level of tuning, and you can literally make those bikes into almost anything that you want. It's just how much do you want to play with it. So we still have a light on. So Harlan wants to know who I'm talking to. Harlan, I am talking to Scott Hoffman. He's the fifth wheel of dirtbiketest.com. He just went to the 2024 Yamaha YZ450F X Intro in South Carolina. See, I'm getting better at this, Scott. I actually remind myself to, my guests remind me to reintroduce the guest.
Nice.
So let's see. We have another question. You said nice. Gorton Seller said nice about your video.
Oh, yeah, that was a one-man show. So I was sent to South Carolina because Jimmy and Trevor, neither of them could perform or show up. So I had to do a one-man show. So luckily I had to ask the guys at Cycle News, your old comrade Jesse Ziegler and Ryan Nitzen to help me shoot a little bit of video of me.
Right. Jesse sent me a bill today. For that.
Oh, he did. Oh, that's
yeah.
Nice.
He sent. I got an invoice from Jesse today. So.
Okay, perfect.
But no, it's. I actually sent out an email today that was explaining somebody how hard it is to be media. It's it pays so much. I'm actually going to have I'm taking a time off from this stupid freaking podcast because I have to go make some money, and it's hard to do in Mexico. So
exactly.
Yeah, but you got to go ride dirt bikes. You got to hang out with Randy Hawkins. Did you ask Randy Hawkins about that time that I had to smash on my KTM foot peg with a big hammer at the 6 days so he could fix his bike without the marshals looking at it? Did you ask him about that?
No, I did not ask him about that. If you would have prompted me with a little bit of information, then I may have asked him about that.
Did you ask? Did you ask Randy Hawkins about the time that we went riding on a Malcolm Smith gear photo shoot back in the early days, and my then girlfriend, now wife Heather, gave Randy Hawkins riding tips?
No, I don't. No, I did not. That's some good information, though.
He was the national enduro champion at the time, and he just happened to mention to Heather, Heather's a nice girl. He just happened to mention it's like, I don't really ride out in the desert that much. So she proceeded to give him desert riding techniques. That was she never realized what a good coach she was going to become. Started with the best.
Well, at the end of the day, Randy took a big group of people on a little trail ride, and people were amazed that this guy got on a bike and borrowed some gear on a bike, and they said that he rode across these trails and he didn't leave a mark on the ground over little leaves and whatnot. He said he's almost floated around this course like he's been riding his entire life, and just wonder why he's.
Well, he has been riding. I don't know how much he rides anymore. Probably not as much as he used to. But they call him the Javelin when he was racing. And that guy, and not just Randy, but all those guys from back east, when those trees get tight and narrow, like it is ridiculous how they can slither, is what I would like to call it, through the trees. And it's changed a lot now because the guys are so much more aggressive. But back then it was just a lot of finesse. The bikes didn't handle. They weren't as sharp as they are these days. But Flying Brian says, "Hey Jimmy, tech talk isn't stupid." You want to bet?
That's a compliment, I think.
I think it's a compliment. Yeah, it's a compliment. I'll take it as a compliment. So, anyways, anything? So yeah, your video wasn't bad. You put a copyright music in there, so we're going to lose all the money, the big bucks we'd be generating off of that. But don't worry, Scott, because Scott and then Scott Goggles, one of our sponsors, amazing sponsors. We've been running Scott commercials on a lot of our shows and stuff. Copyright music appears in. All right. So we're about to be demonetized for those for all those. So that's why I said this show is running like a 1985 YZ490 that's completely clapped out, detonating
with,
and everything.
The bass rear brake.
Yeah, it's got a bass rear brake. Yeah, I told someone they said I'm taking my bike to Mexico. What should I do? And I go prepare for diarrhea.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, that was good.
So
the other thing I wanted to bring up about the FX is that people need to realize is that the suspension is actually physically lowered compared to the YZ.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, so it's the same height as the old FX, but they internally like lowered the suspension, so it's actually got less travel than YZF model.
So does that make it like longer wheelbase, like longer, like more stable type feeling?
Not really. It just feels really, a little bit more planted in the woods for just changing direction. But I don't know if I didn't have enough time on the bike to really dial it in. But I'm not sure if it's really an effect the way on the motocross or faster sections, because you just don't have as much wheel drop compared to the full length suspension F model.
Does it feel like it's a little bit like not as loose in the beginning?
Well, the shock not necessarily, but the fork I had not issues, but just it felt like it was too soft but too harsh at the same time. In other words, it's like certain times it felt harsh, like sometimes little slap downs and a few times, but other times it would want to go. I wanted to stand up in the stroke a little bit. So it was like I was fighting over just rebound mobility and compression, trying to get a good balance where I'm not getting a lot of feedback in the handlebars on those small little braking bumps and little chatter that going into like a tree or a little section where there's little braking bumps.
Yeah, and
chatter.
And truth be told, you're not a back east woods type rider. You're more of a California track riding guy and dual sport riding out here.
That's correct. So it was definitely out of my element, but so it was hard to figure that out. But once I did slow down the rebound on the fork, the wheel felt a lot more planted. But I did have that odd feeling of being a little harsh and a little soft at the same time, as if like I would need slightly stiffer fork springs or a little bit more oil in the fork to make it a little bit more progressive, so then I can back out the compression.
Yeah, and that's what I've kind of. I mean, I do that on most bikes. Is I end up going to a higher oil level, like more. So I'm using kind of more air spring in there, so it gets more progressive, and even to the point where there's certain bikes like. The first thing I do is I always take the air out of the forks, and there's other bikes I actually like it when it starts building up a little bit of air pressure. They start working a little bit better. So these are all just like tricks you learn, and then you kind of get used to it. And some of these characteristics are kind of no matter what you would be riding in some of these areas, that's what you would feel because of the way the ground is or the way the bumps are or the type of riding. But so did you ride the 250?
Two-stroke, yeah. I like that bike. That was worked really good in the woods and easy to ride. And so, I mean, it was. I've ridden the other motocross platform with the newer style bodywork just a tiny bit before. So, I mean, I got on that bike and it felt pretty easy to get through the woods and ride the bike really easy.
Yeah, that's.
I rode it on the second day where conditions started to dry out, so it got a lot better.
Right. And and the thing about the YZ250X is it's just that simple, not fuel injected, still kickstart kind of, it's for everybody that I see it all the time. They're complaining about, KTM screwed up by putting all this stuff in this bike. It's like, well, guess what? Yamaha makes the bike for you. It still has a carburetor. It doesn't oil inject, so it's different than the Beta. It doesn't have electric start. There's way less wires. It's just simple, easy, and it's basically the same bike since 2005. I would almost say.
2006 they went with a better fork, but 2005 was the basic, the original aluminum frame.
Big change. Did you ask them where the YZ300 was?
No, but I did try to ask somebody about, hey, what's up with that motor on the Fantic? And they said, that's a different department. We have nothing to do with that.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that in the show not too long ago when that started kind of making the rounds. What about So the YZ250 FX is kind of still like it's the older generation, and just typical Yamaha, they will probably enter because the YZ250 is all new this year. So the YZ250 FX would be a big update next year, we suspect. Did you ask them where the?
They said the FX might not come out till next year for sure.
Right.
The newer platform.
Newer platform.
FX.
Did you ask where the YZ350F was?
No, I didn't.
What kind of journalist are you? You got to be asking these hard-hitting questions.
Because Yamaha's never said they're going to come out with a 350, but you never know.
Everybody says all they have to do is just bore it out.
Or make the 450 smaller. One of the two.
Why would you? Yeah, that's not the way to do it. I know this. We used to make CRF 400s. We used to, because they actually worked pretty good in the trail, but they were heavy. Mm-hmm. They were still heavy.
Right.
Dave Burgess says, thanks to you, Jimmy, I am now part of the Blue Crew. I hope their sponsorship continues. Well, their sponsorship is continuing. That this is something that it is continuing. We know this. So whether we can afford to continue doing this, that's a whole nother thing. But we're still Blue Crew. I'll be Blue Crew because I've got a WR450 and I'm Blue Crew in that thing all the way to the bank. So I think that was it. That was all of our questions. You want to stick around and help with the? Are you able to watch this on the? On the
interweb?
On the interwebs, yeah. You able to see this if I start?
I can, but our timing's all off between the phone and I think.
Oh right,
it sounded like it was weird when I was watching it live.
Yeah, you just turned it on and now we have the endless loop echo going on. Oh wait, no, I turned it on.
No, I don't have it on.
No, that's mine.
You turned it on.
I don't know what happened here. Somehow I broke my own computer. There we go. Shut it off. Ron Wilder says,
your producer, fire your producer.
I'd like to. I'm thinking about it.
Right.
Ron Wilder says, hey, Jimmy, been looking at the 990 Adventure Rs, but never rid one. Would like to hear your thoughts on that bike and the availability of parts. What is it? KTM continues to produce parts for 10 years. I think they're required to do this. I don't know if that's a requirement or whatever, but so I know that they're making them for 10 years. So is your bike 10 years old? The answer is probably yes, getting there. And then it's going to be whatever they're breaking a lot of, those are going to be the hard parts to get. And I don't know. I know there's a lot of used engines floating around and stuff like that. But, yeah, the price on those things was really good during COVID. And I'm waiting I should probably sell my KTM 1090s and stuff before the price on those things drops like a rock. Anybody want to buy the frame number 1 KTM 950? I have it. It's for sale. Everything's for sale right now. I'm trying to build a building. So, yeah, I haven't had to buy parts for mine because I haven't really ridden it that much. But the thoughts on the bike are, it's a really good bike. Especially if you can get one with the longer suspension, an earlier one with the longer suspension travel, or one of the later ones where they took the ABS off of it. Because they finally got the fuel injection really sorted, and then when they took the ABS and stuff off, the bike got pretty nice. So yeah, good luck with that. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my questions on where I got to find this screen where the questions are.
Jimmy, I have a 950 question for you.
Got it. I can answer 9 out of 10.
Would you take the Super Enduro model from way back then, or the adventure bike?
So that's a really good question. The Super Enduro models would have been carbureted, and if you're going to be riding it a lot and taking care of it, I don't have any problem with the carburetors. But if you're going to let it sit, God bless you if you have to go get into those carburetors, and they are complicated. It's a dual carb bank that's all at weird angles and hard to get to. So if I was riding a lot, I wouldn't have a problem doing that. The funny thing with that Super Enduro is the fuel tank capacity was actually really small on it. And so there are some big tanks if you can get them. And the suspension was a little bit better than the 950. But if I was sitting if I saw one of those and I saw the last version, it was called the KTM 990 Baja, I would get that one. That's the one without the ABS and the fuel. Like I said, the fuel injection at the time was pretty decent. The seat height was a little low. They kind of lowered it, but it actually worked pretty good. So yeah, that's where I would go. Hey Scott, you have a bike for sale right now, don't you?
I do. I have a YZ250 that I was going to make into a project, and I never rode it.
Never rode it?
Never rode it. It's brand new.
Wow. You should have sent me the picture and put down whatever year it is, 2000 and what?
It's actually 2015.
2015 YZ250, never ridden, and sent it into Roost or Endo, because it's often called Roost or Endo or for sale. Like, yeah, a lot of people, they send the bike in and they get a lot of promotion out of that. But I just wanted to help you out there, since you're going halfway across the country for us. So if you're looking for a cherry YZ250 in the Southern California area, Scott Hoffman is your man. You can find him on Facebooks.
Yes, it's listed on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay,
technically.
So have your Nigerian banker get in touch with Scott and offer to send him a cashier's check. I've actually been sent cashier's checks before. It's pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah, I tried to sell a tandem mountain bike once, a tandem full suspension mountain bike, and some guy actually sent me a cashier's check. And it was like $7,000. It was crazy. And I took it down and took it to the bank, and they said, let's look at this thing. And they started looking at it, and they said, man, this is a really good one, but we're probably going to, if we cash this for you, it's probably going to come right back out of your account. So, and basically the guy, cause he had a shipper, he wanted me to, he was paying for the shipping on top of the bike as well. And, basically wanted me to give some money to somebody else, kind of a deal. So,
they're out there for sure.
If anybody's selling a 125, Asher Lito's in the market for one. He just put it in the chat. So, yeah, if you got a bike for sale, Roost, Endo, and we don't like to say it out loud, but for sale. So, okay, Scott, I think I'm going to let you get going, unless you want to try to participate in Roost or Endo with me, but there's a delay.
Yeah, there's a delay, so I think I'll let you take over there and produce your own show. And thanks for
I'm going to fire
having me on.
I'm going to fire the producer.
Right.
Okay.
So,
thanks, Scott.
Talk to you later.
We'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Bye.
That was Scott Hoffman, everybody. He's one of the founders of Dirt Bike Test. He's been around in the moto journalism industry for a long time. He looks much younger. Now, actually looks older now than he was, because the journalism killed him, like it killed all of us. I'm like to identify as a washed up motorcycle journalist now, as well as a washed up racer and washed up almost everything else I do. Jefe de Motos for Nora Mexican 1000. So if you have Nora Mexican 1000 questions, I can answer those for you tonight on the show. So the other questions. Oh, I should have read this while Scott was on here, because this is a video I did. Unlike his one-man production, this actually required the help of multiple people when we had filmers and all that other stuff. DJ-VL2IM says this to me: "This is by far one of the best and informative reviews I have seen. They really stick to the facts," he's talking about me, "and that is meant to be a price point machine, not comparison to an $18,000 KTM." And he is referring to our KTM 390 full test video. "I just bought the 2023 390 Adventure. For the money, I think it's a fun, good-looking bike for me, with zip around on street and dirt with. No intention of entering motocross or Tour de US with it. It's playful fun. I've ridden street race bikes and dirt bikes a lot. I'm older now, and I just wanted some lightweight local fun to drive some dirt roads, and this fits the bill." He said, "I hope this helps." The funny thing about that is he basically said exactly what we said in the video. That's a summarize of the video. He has one. He's qualified to comment on that. Everybody's opinion is valid. Thank you, DJ-VL2IM. Countershocks. "Do you know anything about the SoCal rally in March?" I do know some things about it, but I would go to wherever they're putting information to find out that information. So I think it's kind of more of a rider gathering than an event. And I know some people that have gone and done that before. And so that's a thing. It's definitely less expensive than going to a professional event with medical personnel and a verified race course, and get to go places where you're only allowed to go during this event and have finish line parties every day and a big award ceremony, and that's why you have to pay the big bucks. So that's why in March you should do the Nora Mexican 1000. I'm not going to be happy unless we have 50 entries. And then if I don't have 50 entries, I'll probably just quit doing everything and go ride around on one of my Husabergs. So that's what we're doing. TNIX 9394 tells me on YouTube, on our all-wheel drive adventure bike, he says, and he had to edit this, but he says, don't need two-wheel drive if you're giving her the onion, bro. Just lean back and pin it. Well, everybody's entitled to their opinion. This is America. A lot of freedom of speech here, and you just do that. I wish I could have an all-wheel drive adventure bike. I really, really do. I wish the one that I have in my possession wasn't broken, and if Steve Christini was not selling so many of those damn all-wheel drive mountain bikes, we would probably have this thing fixed. Greg Sims 2428 says, I would rather hear you talk and the sound of dirt bikes more than the music. Turn the music down. Trevor, I added that part in the 2023 450 off-road comparison test on dirt bike test. If you wonder where these awesome videos are, go to our YouTube channel. That's where they are. And then you can leave a comment, and I might even read it on this show. And then you'll be famous to all 2 people that are watching. So here's the other thing. Cast triple clamps versus billet triple clamps. Which works better for off-road racing? Oh, here we go. 64 Max Power says, if stock cast triples are so much weaker, why would Robbie Madison purposely choose stock clamps for Mongo jumps? I'm going to answer that in a second, but I'm going to finish your question. The only clamps I've ever seen broken were billet clamps. This stuff lives in your heads. Okay, so I'm curious if 64 Max Power, I sometimes actually go troll their page to see what they're into, but I haven't had a chance to do this. Maybe I'll do it right now, live on the show. Here we go. We're going over to his page. What are we going to see? Cat videos, right? No, that's me. That's all I do. He has Brock Glover talking about his YZ. Got his kids that look like they're driving. Some dogs and kids. A lot of dogs and kids. And that's what Max Power. So he's probably one of Robbie Madison's main buds. And that's how he knows that's what's on his bike. He probably watched a video. That's how you learn everything these days. I would be willing to bet more than I can afford to lose that Robbie Madison purposely has the stock clamps on his bike because that's what they came with. And I don't know Robbie, but I'd be willing to bet that he's just happy with the way it works like that. And triple clamps are actually a pain in the ass to change because you have to press the stem out usually. And that's just the way it was. So it worked. But yeah. Most clamps, it takes a lot to break them. And if you see broken clamps, there's usually a lot of user error involved, either in the install or the activity. And when Robbie Madison does a Mongo jumps, bro, he actually lands pretty damn smooth most of the time. So maybe the feeling of the stock cast clamps are better than billet ones. I don't know. You'd have to ask him, but I'm just theorizing. And I have seen cast clamps break, and they broke for the exact same reason that the billet ones would break. user error. So Gronk says the interwebs are full of fails of people who just leaned back and pinned it, or maybe that they're running billet triple clamps. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. On my video says, what is the best dirt bike ever made? And I debated with Jay Clark over at Dirt Bike TV. I claimed it was the Husaberg 570. Actually, I didn't. I said KTM 500. But there's a picture of a Husaberg 570. And this guy says, damn, I have a 2006 28 original hours, original tires. And Phil 9634, how much do you want for that particular bike? Just, curious. Because they're horrible. Can't get parts for them anymore. They're unrideable. There's so much power. It's kind of like probably should sell it to me. I don't need another bike. Okay, everybody. I'm going to do a quick commercial break with copyrighted music, and then I'll be right back with your favorite segment, Roost or Endo. If you are sitting around waiting for Roost or Endo because you think your bike is in here, if you send it to me, it's in.
The defending champion, the all-new Yamaha YZ450F.
What's up, Moto Buddies? Mike here from Taco Moto Co. What is the Taco Touch? It's the best service in the industry. Virtually 24/7 tech support via email or text, and it's like having a dirt bike doctor on call every day of the year, helping you fix your bike or recommend parts or setups for you. If you've ever received an order from us, you know that the Taco Touch extends to our fulfillment, and our orders come with the coolest stickers that you've ever had, buying parts from anybody before, and a handful of root beer barrel candies. All of our Taco Moto Co. branded components come with a no questions asked lifetime warranty, and we'll even extend out the warranty of other manufacturers, OEM, and aftermarket parts where we can, sometimes for life. We test and tune endlessly and exhaustively and obsessively. We're trying to destroy everything that we can before you get your hands on it, to look for weaknesses and to improve it, or to make recommendations to the manufacturer. And if it's something that doesn't meet grade, then we don't offer it on the store. Everything that we carry is something that we have personally used, tested, and ridden and raced, and knows meets the high Taco Touch demanding standard. Go out and get some adventure.
And welcome back to the Misaligned Camera Show. My name is Jimmy Lewis, where you get to watch half of my face, or if you listen to it on a podcast format, we just went to a wide shot and everything's better. But aside from that, welcome back. Thanks to our sponsors, our partners, the people that allow this show to come to you. Doing it solo tonight, running it solo. So some people were going to send me Rooster Endos, but their wives told them they couldn't. That's what happens in this world. My wife tells me to go riding because it gives me a better attitude. So that is good for me. Hey, a couple other things in the news. What is in the news? I'm looking at some posts. So a couple of the things that I saw kind of, I'll call it trending on the interwebs, was there are a lot of people doing valve adjusts for some reason on KTM bikes, KTM 500s and 350s. And some of them have manuals, some of them don't have manuals. Some of them are trying to do it exactly by the book and looking for shortcuts. And there's other people that are trying to do it without the book and need information out of the book, which is the manual. The manual gives you probably the most important information that you would ever need. It gives you the specs that you need. It also tells you when you should check them. And so here's where I'm going to have a little debate with you. The manual tells you to check a lot of this stuff way too frequently. And if you're not abusing your bike, you probably don't need to check, especially like a KTM 350. I have a 2012 KTM 350 it's probably in the 700 hour range, and I just loaned it to a friend and he rode it around for a bunch of hours and stuff. I've checked the valves on it twice, and I just quit doing it because, and this is one of the questions, is KTM actually calls for you putting a little sealant on the cam, at the cam journals where the gasket has the big kind of rubber half moon. They call for you sealing that up, which I believe is a really good idea, because if you don't, they tend to weep a little bit. But if my bike was weeping, I wouldn't do anything because it's not weeping that much. It's just ugly when your bike runs for a long time in the dust and a little bit of oil gets there. So number one, manual is really good for specs and the procedure on how to do it. Sometimes they go overboard. They go overboard and tell you how often you have to do it, and they go overboard on all the steps, that disconnect the battery, all these other things that you may or may not need to do. Guys were having problems, especially now on the bikes without kickstarters, on how to turn the motor over. This is really easy. I just put it in like 5th or 6th gear, and then I use the rear wheel, and I kind of snap it. I go clink, clink, clink. I tap the chain and get it to move. Because the magnets are so strong in some of the ignitions, and because of the cam overlap and angle, like sometimes it's really hard to get these things to turn smoothly and to, quote, find top dead center. But you should be able to feel this, okay? If you're not able to feel it, then there's ways to check it. You can take the spark plug out and you can put something like a screwdriver down in there and watch when it goes up and down and figure out exactly where it's at. There are, on KTMs, there's always inside of the crankcase, there's also a bolt that has a big thick washer on it, and sometimes it's on the center case on the bottom, sometimes it's off to the side. Well, you can take this bolt out, you can remove the washer, and then you run the bolt back in, and it will index into a divot inside of the crank that indicates stop dead center, so you can lock it. This is typically used if you were going to, for instance, pull the top end or pull the cam out and you didn't want to lose top dead center. So it allows it to make it easier to time. So all this stuff is explained in the manual. And whether it's a KTM or a Yamaha or a Honda or whatever, the manual will tell you all these different things. And if this is your first time doing something like this, don't feel intimidated. It is intimidating. It's not that easy. But if you kind of remember the steps that you use, but when you watch somebody who's done it 10 or 15 times, that's where the first 5 times they're feeling exactly the way you like. Do I remove this hose? Do I have to pull this out away? Do I have to unbolt this? You can unbolt everything the manual says, but I promise you, the guy at the shop that's working on a scale, as far as how much time he's going to get to do that job, he knows every shortcut in the book, and he knows how to just get in there, get it done, and button it back up. You'd like to learn that, but you're not going to learn it in doing it just 1 or 2 times. So if you have the manual, that's great. If you're looking for shortcuts, I would be a little weary about asking for this on the internets, because I promise you, the guy that's the best at the shortcuts is not sitting on a Facebook forum posting the answers, giving away his secrets all day long, unless he's unemployed. And if he's unemployed, he's probably not that good of a mechanic anyways. So just take that for what it's worth. So, and after I've, owned a bike for a while and I'm really comfortable with how it's working, I'm waiting for the bike to tell me I do the maintenance more than I'm looking at the hour meter. I'm listening for sounds that are unfamiliar. I'm kind of doing that kind of stuff. I'm not worried about weeps. I actually responded to a guy who was having a weep around his it was on his ignition side, and it was on a KTM 500, and it was where the crankcase pressure was sort of starting to weep out through the wires. And if you think about, if there's something that's weak on KTMs, I would go with wires. They really try to save a lot of weight here. And if you do a lot of heat cycles on something that has a nice piece of copper inside of it and a rubber sheath on it, over time, that copper is going to get hot and it's going to heat up the sheath, and it's going to get brittle and it's going to shrink and it's going to harden up, and then oil's going to work its way out, because people were giving them all kinds of crazy ideas. Oh, your breather, you have to unroute your breather from your air box and vent it to atmosphere and do all this other stuff. It's just time on the bike. Maybe he overfilled it once. Maybe he overfilled it and for the first time ever ran it hard down the road. And then it's going to try to get out. Yeah, it'll push it out. But do this. Take some oil. Fill up a cap of an oil bottle and spill it someplace on your motor and see how big of a stain you can make. Or spill a cap of oil on the ground. As you're talking one cap, what is it? Maybe 5 cc's. Spill it on the ground and watch it spread out. And then you'll be much less worried about what you're seeing in these oil stains. I mean, if you want it to look really good, yeah, you don't want the oil stain. But if you're worried about function, don't worry about it too much. So there, just trying to save you some bucks. Just common sense answers that have worked for hundreds of years. And you ask yourself, Jimmy, if what you say, don't listen to the guys on the internet all the time, what are you doing here? Well, besides stroking my ego, I am doing penance, because dirt bikes have given me a awesome life. I get to go ride dirt bikes all the time, and somehow I kind of consider it my job. And that's why I get bitter sometimes, because like job, you're supposed to get paid, but I consider I'm going funning. So when I'm funning, I shouldn't get paid, but then I need to make a living, and then there's this triangle of doesn't really work out. But yeah, so I'm doing my penance and trying to help people out, because over the course of my career and my life, I've run into other very smart people that have steered me in the right direction. So hopefully I can be doing that right now. David Diaz. I know David. At least one OEM defines weeping, seeping, and leaking. Leaking is a warranty item. I bet you I know which OEM defines that. Yeah, leaking is a warranty item. That's good. That's a fair assessment. That's really smart. David was a service writer for a long time, correct? I'm sure he'll pipe back in with that. So, okay, I'm gonna go move into Roost or Endo. Okay, I'll answer your questions as we go. You can distract me, because everybody knows I have a really hard time giving a true answer. Roost or Endo tonight is brought to you by Takamoto and Bulletproof Designs, because I do not have a product of the week. The reason I like Bulletproof Designs, I'm holding this up in front of the camera, it's so billowy and shiny, is they make really awesome protective pieces for motorcycle, from radiator guards to, this is a chain guide saver, a swing arm tab saver, to shark fins, to billet throttle housings, to whole wheel sets. And by the way, how did I break in my Bulletproof Designs wheel set? Well, I put a set of test mooses in it. I put a set of tires on it and threw it on my bike and went and rode it in Mexico for 500 miles. So that's how I tested it. Anyways, brought to you by Takomoto.co. So somebody tonight is going to be the lucky recipient of $100 from Takomoto.co. Go there. Tell Mike, thanks for sponsoring this show. Tell Jimmy to shut up sometimes. So I've got to get the information out here. I got to set up. So this bike says, my name is Ryan. So I'm going to click on Ryan right here. He's Ryan, all right. Built as a single bike for forest roads, 2-track and single track in the Pacific Northwest. My favorite place to ride is beep, beep, beep. Okay. So, okay, hold on a second. This is a long list. This is uh-oh. Did I mess up I'm missing a picture. Wait a minute. I got it. Hold on. Do we have 4 entries or 3? Oh, we do have 4. Good. Okay. I hope this is... Yeah, there we go. Ryan already committed a fatal penalty. I have no idea what this bike is. I have no idea. But I'm going to keep going. Because remember, picture, year, make, and model, and the thing. And he's got a list. I'm going to go through this list, and then I'm going to get bored. And then I'm going to scan through, and I'm only going to list off the sponsors of this show. Because that's how we do it here. Anyways, Resprung and EVO Oregon Symmetrical Converted Explorer Forks. This bike, to me, appears to be a gas. What is their enduro bike? EX 300? I'm guessing it's a 300. Takamoto 3,000 hour pump. Takamoto 225 hour fuel filter. If somebody wants to do the math for me, that you could tell me how many fuel filters I'm going to go through before I wear that pump out. It's desmog. The reeds have been removed. The reeds have been removed. This is a 2-stroke. Wait a minute. Wrong bike. Hold on. This is where it gets confusing here. Do we have 2 Ryans here, or is this Mike's bike? Hi, my name is Ryan. And there's a picture. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. Maybe is this Ryan's bike? I named him properly, I think. No, that's Ryan. It's Michael's bike? That looks a lot more like the bike we're talking about. But I don't know. Let's see if there's any stickers that identify any of these things. Moto-minded barters, Dango Designs, engine guard mounts, tall jammer case guards, trail jammer chase guards, Pro Mobility exhaust, end capped, ultra quiet. Is that what I'm seeing here? Okay, seat concepts, comfort seat. Yes, I'm seeing that. A Chirby's 3.9 tank with breather. Okay, we're back onto the right bike. This bike appears to be a 2019 KTM 500, I'm guessing. That's why I can't figure out what the picture is. If you told me what the picture was, what the bike was, I would know. So, is this Mike's bike? This is Mike's bike, not Ryan's bike. I'll get it all figured out one of these days. ODI road grips, Enduro Engineering Extreme skid plate. Wait a minute. What? He has 2 different kinds of skid plates on here? Dango Designs engine. Oh, they're just engine mounts. Okay, I thought there was a skid plate in there. KTM Power Parts rear disc guard, Enduro case saver. Yeah, that's all the things. So this is his bike. He doesn't. There's more list. Bulletproof Designs chain guide protector. That's good. He has some. He does not have DDC sprockets on this bike. I'll tell you that right now. Doesn't have those. He has Cycro Pro Bend handguards and bar taps, a 30 millimeter bar risers, a giant loop tail rack, RAM mount, RAM phone mount, double take mirror, DRI grab, do-it-yourself grab strap front and rear. Tusk Recon hybrid rear, golden 260 fatty front. That's what I saw. The first thing I identified in this bike was the big fat front tire. Do-it-yourself license plate mount and Osnemo micro LED rear turn signals. Looks like a very well set up machine. I like that. Looks like he put some time on it. Didn't go crazy with the graphics kit. I like that. But I don't know what kind of bike this is. So I'm going to give you, for not following instructions, Endo. Mike, Endo. Sorry. And Sawyer Llewellyn says, when is Dirt Bike going to get their hands on a Triumph? I don't know. I forgot to ask. The intro was the other day. We were not invited because we're not very good journalists. Well, we don't say what we're supposed to. We like to tell the truth. I don't know. I haven't had any contact with Triumph, even on the adventure bike side, which is kind of strange. But who knows? That's the way it goes. Here we go. Next bike. This is Ryan's bike. So you get to look at this one again here. So Ryan's got a 2023 Gas EX350 with two. Wait, nope, wrong guy. My name is Ryan. This bike is built as a single bike for Forest Service roads, 2-track and single track in the Pacific Northwest. My favorite place to ride is there. Wait. Somehow this all got confused, but I don't see his information on this one. But it's definitely not the last one, and it's not this one, and the other one is that one. So that's all we get with this one. Not very much information. Looks like a nice place to ride. You got up out of the trees, took a picture of your bike. He's got the Cycra handguards. I see that on one of the things on one of the lists, but okay. This bike Roost. Just because. Anybody in the chat want to comment? Okay, so I do have, this is Todd's bike. Todd's bike is a 2023 Gas EX 350 with 200 plus hours. He has MX Tech Raven Forks inserts. I think that's why he laid it over, so maybe we could try to look inside and see that. The shock has my own valving. It's mostly a KTM copy. Would that have anything to do with why it's laying on the ground? Fast Company Flex handlebars from Takamoto. That's like a double bonus. You used one of our sponsors to buy one of our sponsors' products. We appreciate this. A Guts tall seat, which we can't see. UFO plastic handguards. One of them's probably broken right now. And a Ameritron watch on the handlebar. I'm not sure. No need for a skid plate or radiator guards. I saw one rock last year in Minnesota. Okay, maybe 3 rocks. So you're saying you got nice loamy dirt like that, that's so loamy that you like to lay your bike into the dirt as opposed to use the kickstand, because I think an EX actually comes with a kickstand, but maybe it snapped off. I don't know. The graphics and coloring have worn off the radiator shrouds. There's no need to look down on my bike. Bikes need naps too, and look how soft that fluffy dirt is. I can't argue with you one bit. Not one bit. Because you definitely spend more time riding that thing than putting stickers on it. And if you go to Takamoto, you're going to get some stickers with your order and maybe some root beer candies, by the way, just so you know. So that's good. Okay, I think that Roost. MLT. Wait a minute. Is that hey, cheers. He's got a heart and he's got a heart in his little emoji. Can't tell, would that be I don't know, can't tell who you are. You guys have all these emojis. Everybody's hiding behind their screen figures or whatever it is in this. But yeah, that bike, it roosted. It's been roosted. It's roosting. I like it. Roost. That one's a good one. And Jeff Franklin from Indiana, speaking of child labor, sends in this picture. Hey, Jimmy, here is my son, Vince, who is 10 years old, on his 2018 YZ65. So he got it right. Well, he didn't put Yamaha in there, but we know. Yamaha YZ65. Mods include the Polysport headlight powered by a small lithium battery mounted inside the airbox with a Tusk on and off switch, a Works Connection aluminum skid plate, a Chirby's handguards, and frame protections. Since the mighty WR450 lost due to a non-riding pick, we have countered with a shot from our Endurocross track. More bikes in the stable ready to be unleashed. This is Jeff from Indiana. Jeff, you are exploiting your child at this point. This kid is lucky enough to have his own super trick YZ65 full Blue Crew, which you're thinking, oh, we've got this one because Jimmy always gives it to the Yamaha because Yamaha sponsors the show, which actually could be there could be some truth in that, but your spoiled little brat kid needs to write his own Roost or Endo description of his own super awesome bike, because that's how you get super awesome bikes, is you write about them. Or at least that worked for me my whole life. I didn't have my dad do my homework for me and try to swindle $100 out of some good hardworking guys that are maybe in Minnesota with their bike laying on the side that need stickers. But yeah, the kid needs to send me his own Roost or Endo and 100 sentences that says, I will not have my dad pimp me out for 100 Takamoto bucks, even though it looks like a pretty rad enduro cross track, and I would like to go out there and roost with you. And since you have a headlight, you're so lucky that your dad made you a super awesome headlight. I would like to think that the kid actually did that, but I'm just doubting the capacity of a 10-year-old at this time. But they have the internet and they can learn things. They can learn things like really fast on the internet. And maybe he did figure out how to put a lithium-ion battery inside of his airbox, but be careful that it doesn't catch on fire, because I heard about airplanes catching on fire because I watch the internets all the time. But if that is indeed the thing, I want the 100 sentences that says, I will not let my dad pimp me and my YZ65 out for his benefit. 100 sentences, and then we'll see what we can negotiate, resubmit a better picture. Vince, have your super hot chick girlfriend that masquerades as your filmer shoot the photo for you, because that's how you really get on that's the way the kids are doing it these days. If you don't believe me, just watch Carson Brown, okay? That kid's got it dialed. So that's all I really know. Okay. Let's see. The big five: Yamaha, Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, KTM. What are we talking about here on the chats? By the way, this kid and his bike, Roost, Dad's sideshow of he's going to flood me with Roost or Endo entries is not working. So this is the point of the show where I, with the help of the chat, you're going to have to act quick, because I've already made my decision. You got to have to talk me out of it. You guys, and if you're wondering what we're looking at when we're doing this, I put the pictures up on the screen, and since I'm probably not going to put these up on the screen, that means you're going to have to start watching this damn show live. This show might just turn into a straight up, it'll be a live show like this all the time, but I might only process it into a podcast, because it would save 3 or 5 hours of my life every Wednesday morning, and I would rather go riding. So super little mini super enduro. That's right, Chris Dabney. Child exploitation there. So here's what I think. One guy didn't write very much. The other guy wrote too much and had a lot of stuff, and I couldn't figure out which one was which. I know which bike was laying in the loamy Minnesota dirt that looks like it could use some stuff. I am claiming that Todd, with his Gas 350EX with worn out radiator graphics, is the winner, because I don't know, it just looks like the guy rides the shit out of this thing, and he could use the 100 Takamoto bucks. So Todd, get a hold of me, and we will get you all sorted out with that. Thank you for being a loyal supporter of the show and throwing your bike in. Trail Tech makes a really good replacement kickstand for that motorcycle, so you can do this. Yeah, John Buck believes Todd wins. EX350 taking a nap. Look at that. The chat room agrees with me. Well, because they know I'll kick them out if they don't agree with me. That's where this show is going. Down the tubes, like myself here. Thank you for a merch opportunity. That's it. Hey, the only thing good about this show right now is I've solved the frame dropping issue, and it's actually recording itself, unlike a couple of the previous shows. So I got that stuff fixed, but there's a lot more bookkeeping I need to do here. Thanks to Scott Goggles, which I'm going to wear right now on the show just because I decided I wanted to. I got my headphones on, and I can't, but so I'm wearing goggles on the show now. go and get a copy of Monkey Butt. Poor old Super Hunky bit the dust a few weeks back. They are going to try to sell some more Monkey Butt books. I'm pretty sure that Rick, he probably has a shipping container of them someplace, knowing Rick. That guy's roosting up in the sky right now, I'm sure. And one other kind of a little sad note is my good friend Janie. Her little dog had to go to doggy heaven today, and I'm sure that's hard on her. Janie was the bartender on the original episodes of Tech Talk Taco Tuesday when we used to do it at Ramiro's Taco Shop, Ramiro's restaurant in Pahrump, Nevada. And Janie is a really good friend of mine, and I'm deeply saddened that her little barky dog is no longer with us. But Bella, roost up in the heavens, and thank God I didn't run you over, because I always worried about that, because it was what we were doing. So anyways, with that, I will hopefully see you out in the trail. If you need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me through Dirt Bike Test. And going to be busy for the next few weeks getting everything dialed in for the Nora Mexican 1000. I got a bunch of bike testing stuff I need to get finished up and get sorted out as well. So I should be dropping some really interesting videos on the KTM 300, the Beta 300, and of course the awesome Yamahas that I've been riding as well. So with that, everybody, if we don't have any more questions, nope. Monkey Butt is a great book. Jimmy is in it for a chapter. Am I in? I'm not in Monkey Butt, I don't think. I don't remember. But I am working on Monkey Butt too. It's something that's I claim I'm going to do. So with that, we will see you out in the trail, everybody. Cheers.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.